Um, yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. So, like I said, we got Brett with us. Um, Brett and I'm not going to claim any of Brett's success, but um, Brett and I have worked together off and on since probably 2020, I would think, probably your freshman year, I feel like, is when you started coming to
Yeah.
DV a little bit. So, we've stayed in contact a little bit from since then, but he started out at Western Illinois and now he last year played for the Huskers and had a really, really good year. And so we're just, like I said, we're thankful for him jumping on and kind of sharing some insight with us. So Brett, why don't you just start by kind of talking about, where you're from and how you're just like transition from high school to college. Just kind of tell us how you got where you're at now.
Yeah. So I'm from like a super small town in Iowa. It's about 80 people in the town. I went to a school that had about 100 people in my class, so not that small of a school. But for recruiting wise at high school, like I really wasn't a very heavily recruited guy. Like I threw all right. I was decent for the state of Iowa. Like I didn't have any numbers that were gonna pop up the page at you, like, and we need this guy. But I would say I was like a solid high school baseball player in Iowa. Um, I ended up committing to West Illinois partly because my brother was there. Probably the biggest reason was because my brother was there. Um, yeah, I played there for 2 years, pretty much just one because my first year was the COVID year, so we only played I think 11 games. And yeah, I decided to leave after my second year. We just had a bunch of coaching changes and stuff. That first year I got there, like every coach that recruited me ended up leaving. Um, then the second year, I kind of felt like I owed it to like the new coach just see what it was about. It wasn't a great fit for me, so I ended up going to a junior college in called Iowa Central. Um, had a good year there, and then yeah, I ended up at Nebraska 2 years ago. Did not have a good year, and then last year obviously had some success. So yeah, that's kind of how I got here. Um, I didn't really get recruited heavily to Nebraska. I guess they kind of talked to my coach about me, and I wanted to come to Nebraska because like I was a Nebraska fan. So they had a camp, and I said I'm just going to go to the camp and make them recruit me, kind of. So that's what I did, and it worked out.
Nice. Awesome. Can you kind of talk about just like maybe the differences? Well, okay, one of the questions I always get is just like, what's the biggest like piece of advice for guys going into college? Because we have some guys in here that are committed and they're seniors and they're just like thinking about that next step. So, what's your biggest piece of advice for them as they're transitioning into fall ball for next year?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is like preparing to not be like necessarily the guy. Like I say, I was average in high school. Like I was like for sure the best player on my team when left. Like and in terms of failure, like I feel like high school, like you experience very little. And I think like in a sport like baseball, like making that transition to a higher level, like I don't think the talent gap is as big as you might think it is, but like the fact is like every guy around you was their guy in high school. So I think just understanding that like honestly what you did in high school is really not that cool in college and you're gonna fail and you're gonna have to go along with that learning curve and you can't just beat yourself up over failing. Like I was pretty bad at that early on. Like I'd have a bad week of pitching and I'd be like, oh, probably not gonna play next week. But like I was literally starting on like Friday night. I just think I was a little hard on myself originally, like just on the fact that I mean you're gonna fail in college. So I think that's the biggest adjustment. And then another thing would be just believing that you like they recruited you for a reason. Like they don't just recruit guys because they think it'd be cool that you go there. Like they recruit guys because they think you're good enough to play there.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, one analogy that I would give these guys is it's like when you first make your high school team, like none of your high school coaches care about your little league career,
Yeah.
and literally none of your college coaches care about your high school career. I mean,
Hmm.
really. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's just like as you level up, it's just the same thing. Like when now for you, like, do any of your minor league
No.
coaches or does the Braves organization care at all about what you're like that you're a second
No.
team All American,
Yeah. No. I
Big Ten
mean,
pitcher of the year?
Yeah, no, I mean we have a 17-year-old that got drafted and got paid way more money than me, and they could care less if he's a high schooler or he was at Nebraska for 3 years. I mean, they don't really care. Like you're in the same position as the other guy. So,
Right. Yeah, just you just keep leveling up. So,
mhm.
what would you say? So you kind of like obviously played at Western, you played in junior college, and then you played at a Power Five school. What's like the biggest differences between those three?
I will say at junior college, I throughout the whole thing, I would say the talent gap isn't as far as people would make it out to be. Like you got good players at each place. Like I think at this level, like at Nebraska, it was more so like I had to worry really about 1 through 7 in the order versus like at West Illinois, I could probably bounce it down like 1 through 4 can hurt me. And JUCO, like 1 through 3, like those guys can hurt me. And I think that was the biggest thing for me. Like we're just understanding that and then realizing like if you're good at like the other places, like you could probably be good at the next place too. Like there's really no reason. It's kind of like a lot of it's a mental thing. Like, and I've noticed that like in the Braves organization too. Like we have guys at Nebraska who aren't playing anymore that I mean are probably better than our some of our draft picks. Like it's just how it is. Like it's who you get in front of, and I don't think the talent gap is quite what you think going through.
It's interesting. I mean, I've had people tell me the exact same thing too, and it's also crazy how there's automatic outs in college. Like when you're in high
Yeah,
school, you would never think like there's like you get the scouting
yeah,
report in front of you, and it's like, yeah, that guy's an easy out, and but
yeah.
it's
It's
like
like
because you're
just
good,
no
you're
structure.
also good. Yeah, like you're
Yeah,
also good. So,
yeah. That's
um,
one thing too. Like I don't know if we got any hitters in here. I would assume mostly pitchers, but straight up hitters just aren't good. Like the best hitters in the world. Like I'm trying to think like who was the best hitter in college. Probably like I don't know. Caglione was up there. He was right at 400, which is crazy. But like the best hitters in the college game are hitting 350. That means you're getting them out 7 out of 10 times, which is gives your team a chance most of the time to win a game.
all right, and you only see him once, so you
Yeah,
just got to
that's the
survive
thing.
the one hit maybe that you give
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Um, so let's go from there to kind of just talking about like your career. So I shared like your stats with all these guys just to kind of give them some context. And I completely forgot that the first year was a COVID year, so that would kind of explain why you only threw
Mhm.
like 7 innings.
Yeah,
Um, but one like big difference was like your whip. So you went from 2.5 to 1.7 to 1.1 to 1.5 at Nebraska your first year to like under one, which under one is legit.
yeah.
And
Uh,
so like what would you say kind of was what led to that, do you think? Like how do you go from just being like okay command to like no, you don't give up anything for free?
yeah. To my junior college, and I wasn't like a guy that were like, oh God, this guy's gonna tear up JUCO. Like it wasn't like that. Like I was just a guy who hopefully could have some production. I ended up being I was an All American at junior college, and I think the biggest thing was me and my partner. I knew a guy from he was from Lewis Central, which is kind of by Omaha, and we played catch together every day, and like we would literally just put a target up, and if you missed it by I don't know an inch, you didn't get a point, but we would like try to beat each other every day, and I never lost. So yeah, I honestly think it helped me more than anything in command, and then I do think like I did a driveline thing. I had a program from West Illinois, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I sure believed I was doing something right. So I think that was kind of the big thing. And I did it over the summer. And I think just learning how to move, I think that was the biggest thing. Like, I don't know if it was really like the plyo balls, the long toss. I just think I learned how to move and like it just kind of clicked for me, I think was kind of the big thing. And then I think just working on command was another big thing at the end of catch. Like I'm throwing all my pitches to this guy's target. And if I miss, I'm going to lose.
Right. That is one thing that just like having watched you thrown. I mean, one thing I wish like more people could just watch you work because like there's not a lot of distraction. You know, everything you're pretty
Yeah.
locked in and you know what you want to work on. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that that plays a big role. Like you know what you want to do, you know what you're trying to do, like you have intention with
Yeah.
every pitch and every throw, and I think that makes obviously that compounds over time, and part of it's just
Mm,
like you get better over time too. Like
yeah.
it's not like you're not a finished product when you're a freshman. You're not a
Right.
finished product when like you're
Yeah.
not a finished product now. Like you
Yeah.
just got to keep getting
Just
reps
showing
in,
up. Yeah.
right? And so, but that consistency and that intention over time definitely makes a huge difference. Um, so you talked about some physical things that you changed. Were there anything like, and then mental is probably kind of the same thing. Like you just were very
Yeah.
focused, or yeah,
Mental, I was just like, I like compete and everything. Like, it's just, I don't know who I am. Like, I hate losing anything. It's probably a bad trait of mine at sometimes, but, yeah, it was like me versus the guy in the box. And like, I don't care if you get a hit, but I'm not going to beat myself, I guess, kind of type mentality. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I just kind of keep showing, like, I don't care. Like, I'm going to throw it, even if it's not the best stuff. Like, I'm going to keep showing up and throwing it over the plate and see if you got a chance to hit it. If you beat me, but I'm certainly not going to beat myself in that aspect.
Yeah, that's like I said, you're a bulldog. One thing, it's like I have some, and Brett knows this, but like I have some buddies that I talk to, and Brett would ask me about like how his stuff was moving, like his TrackMan numbers and stuff, and so then I would share it with some other coaches, and like nothing that you don't have a ton of like elite movement
No.
necessarily. Like you got like your extension's good on your fastball, you have
Hmm.
decent like pretty like probably above average spin, but other than that,
Yeah.
it's not like, and you do kind of throw from a lower slot, which I think helps. But none of Brett's stuff
Yeah.
is like way above average. But his mentality, I would say your mentality is way above average. Like just how aggressive
Yeah.
you are in the zone, kind of F you, let's just see what you can do with it.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that makes a big difference for you. But I do kind of want to talk a little bit about like, so your first year at Nebraska, and you just said this too, like not super great. And then obviously last year things speak for themselves. So what was the difference for you?
Yeah. I'm honestly not sure, like, completely on the difference. Like, honestly, my first year here, I was in a pretty bad spot. Mentally, I had some things going. But I just think, like, I just had the wrong attitude about it. Like, I came out of JUCO. Uh, I went, I wouldn't say like super highly recruited, but like I came out of JUCO and I just out of the bullpen, I tried to be a little too much. And I'll be honest, like there was times in my first year here where I didn't know if I was going to even play baseball another year. Um, but I told my brother, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to come back. Like there was times where showing up to the field wasn't very fun for me. Um, but like I said, I just kind of kept showing up, and I think I went off and had a summer. It was kind of just a reset for me. Like I threw well in the summer league. I don't know if it's like came back. Uh, really didn't have that good of a fall, honestly. But I remember in our exit meeting, they're like, "Yeah, we might see you the starter." I said, "No, I'm going to start," and that was kind of it. From there, I was like, "I'm just going to start," and decided I wasn't. I was just going to be focused on each week, kind of.
I like it. Trying to find something that you said. I'm trying to look through old text here. Maybe I can't find it. Okay, so I guess I'll just kind of go on to the next thing then. So how how do you like so like let's talk about last year then. So obviously you kind of had your reset, and it's kind of funny how that works because I kind of went through this exact same thing. Obviously it wasn't as good as you were, but um how did you like keep your edge? Like because really, I mean, you did have like I feel like there was maybe like two starts in there kind of in the middle of the year. And I did like I remember texting you about it, and you were just like, yeah, I kind of like got away from my mindset a little bit. But how did you like just keep your edge for an entire season where, you pretty much just dominated the entire time?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess like the big thing like people say is like you got to be positive and stuff, but like I was probably like in terms of like headspace, like I knew what I was doing, but about every week I was like, I would call my dad, be like, hey, this might be the week I just suck, like every week, like, and I just kind of think like I could think that, like I could think that, but no, like an hour before the game, like, all right, it's go time. Like I don't care what happens, I'm just gonna throw it out there, and I think it also helped me like I'm not the most talented guy on Nebraska's roster. I wasn't even close last year. Like there's guys who were 10 times better than me that probably threw 20 innings for us, you know. It's like I think that kind of helped me, just the fact like just knowing like I'm probably not going to be like a showstopper, like best guy on the team, like type deal. I was just going to go out there and pitch the best I could. If I could look myself in the mirror at night and say, you know what, you left it out there and you gave it what you had, whether it was good or bad, like I was happy. Like, and it was kind of my mindset last year where honestly, it was kind of a joke earlier in the year. I told guys, I was like, I'm done playing after this year. Like, I don't care what happens. Like, I'm not going to play. Like, what if you get like a free agent deal? I was like, I'm not going to play. So I was, it was kind of like that. Like, it was super easy for me to just tell myself, like, just go have fun. Whatever happens, happens. Like, I'm done after this year, anyways. And then obviously I ended up still playing, but I think it's kind of made it easier for me to just kind of have that mindset. Like, it's a game and it can get taken away from you whenever. Like, I'll play until the Braves tell me I can't, but I'll look at the end of the day, like once I'm done, I'll look at back and be like, you know, I poured what I had into it, and whether it be I make it to the majors or I get cut a week after being in spring training this year, like I can look myself in the mirror, and that's kind of the big thing for me.
I like it. Um, it's kind of funny. Like it probably just took all the pressure off. Like you were probably free because
Yeah,
you had no expectation of, well, if I need to do this to get drafted. For these guys, it's like a lot of these guys are going to go into their season and think, I need to do this to get recruited.
yeah,
It's the same type of thing. And then as soon as you start to think, oh, well, what if that doesn't happen? Like, what if you have a bad outing? And it's like, I'm not
yeah,
going to get recruited. Now I can't reach my goals. And now I'm screwed, and then
yeah.
you
I mean,
just,
the big thing is all you can do is like, I mean, you can't give more than you got. So like, if you can give everything you got, and you can look yourself in the mirror, like if someone doesn't like it, then you know what, that's on them. Like you gave what you had, and you'll find someone who appreciates it.
do you feel like, is that kind of how you think? Like, what are you telling yourself like during a game? Like, are you still kind of in that, like, I suck? I mean, I know the answer to this, but are you still in that I suck mentality, or what's your
No.
mentality like?
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, an hour before the game, like I have the thoughts, like I think it's normal to think of like failure. I think it's pretty normal to actually have those thoughts. But I mean, about an hour before the game, I would always switch playlists, and I mean, I was the best person on the planet. And then like I was I wasn't the best player on the field actually, but you couldn't convince me that. So that was kind of the big thing, I think, is just the mindset switch. Like I'm better than you at to whoever was up there. And doesn't matter if they're a first round pick or working at Walmart now. Like I was better than them, and I was going to make sure everyone knew that.
Right. It's probably, in some ways, it's probably helpful during the week, between outings, to say that you're not great, like to think, hey, because
Yeah.
it keeps you humble, it makes you work. You
Hmm.
put your head down and work and you prepare. And then hour before the game starts, it's like, okay, it's go time. I'm the baddest guy in the field,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna take care of business because because you believe in it, and you believe in all the work that you put in. So, it's kind of like, even when you said the drive line thing,
Yeah.
like you don't know if it's right or wrong, but you did it, and you believed
Yeah.
in it. And
Yeah.
as long as you believe in it, then you'll believe in yourself, and you got your confidence from that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's that's good stuff. Um, okay, a couple of like quick ones for you. I had someone ask if you played multiple sports in high school, and then how did you balance working on baseball in the off season when you were playing other sports?
Yeah, I did. I played football and basketball as well. So I just think, especially in high school, like if you're gonna do multiple sports, like you gotta realize like being athletic helps you out just in general. So I think you can kind of
Are you calling yourself an elite athlete?
no, I'm just calling myself. I said I let myself be athletic just by playing the other sports. I think, but I think just like letting yourself be athletic is a thing that can help you with pitching, and then just have your things that you're gonna do, like and and don't kick yourself if you miss something. Like there's days in high school where I'd come home from basketball practice, I was supposed to work out, and I'll be honest, I just got on the video games and played until I went to bed. But you got to realize like there's going to be days where you do miss something, and it is what it is. Like you got the next day. If you sit there and dwell on it, then you miss 2 days, and you miss a third day. It's like get up in the next morning, do your thing. Like obviously, you have time set aside to do things, do your practice, and then if you got to get something else done, whether it be throwing or some med ball stuff, get that done. And then if you miss a day, scratch and go to the next. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I think the key is just you just have to be good enough that you can keep playing.
Yeah, that's the
As
thing.
long as
Like
you can
you'll get to a time where you aren't playing multiple sports.
right.
But
So if you can just like extend that horizon,
hmm
to where you get the college scholarship. Like first of all, you got to make varsity on your team,
hmm
and then be good enough to play in the college, and then by then you're on one. And at that point, literally anything can happen, especially with the transfer
Yep.
portal. Like
Yeah.
literally anything can happen.
hmm
So um, these ones are. I'm kind of interested on this one too. This is from a kid that do you throw every pitch as hard as you can?
I kind of do. I kind of don't. The only one I really don't is my fastball. And the reason is because like if I try to throw my slider like soft, it'll just spin. Um, and my changeup, I'll leave it up if I try to throw it slow. But I will work like I'll usually work like 90, 93 with my fastball when like if I really wanted to, I could probably sit there and work 92, 93 the whole game. But I don't know. I kind of think it was kind of a Childress thing. As old school as he is, I think that kind of helped me out quite a bit. Just I don't know. I would sit at like you because I remember the Ohio State game. I went complete game, and like my 115th pitch was 95, and I think that kind of just helped. Like I would just kind of sit around 90, and then I'd get to 0-2, and it would be like I would have at bats where I'd go 89, 91, and then 94 at the end of the at bat. So I would say the only pitch I didn't throw it almost at 100% was my fastball.
Interesting. I'm sure a
But
lot
I
of guys
also
are
wasn't.
surprised,
Yeah,
or I'm sure a lot of guys are surprised by that, honestly.
yeah.
And it was more kind of like a two strikes, dig deep.
Yeah, it wasn't like I was sitting like 86 and then run up to 95. Like I was like right around 90, 93 anyways. But
Yeah. How about when you're throwing your pins? Like where you living? Like where do you like to be, and then where do you?
uh yeah, honestly my pins I would throw like sometimes I'd be like 86 and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm in trouble for this weekend." And then other times I'd be like 91 and it always pretty much evened out by Friday night. So,
Yeah.
but
Did you put much stock into that, or like I don't know? I'm just like I watch Jake Diekman throw, and he'll throw like 88, and he's like that'll be 96 in the game. you know?
yeah, no, it's honestly like it is funny how that works. Like the Braves get mad if I throw bullpens too hard, like which is fine, but I don't know. I've never been a guy who like can throw like 10 miles an hour harder in a game, but I will like I am kind of like that. Like I'll set my fast will be like 87 in a pin, like and I'm like, oh, I'll get that up to 95 if I want it in the game. It's like my slider will be like 75. I'm like, that'll be fine. But I think it's kind of an advantage, just like you have to know when you need to feel good. Like I don't need to feel good on Tuesday. Like I have to feel good. It was a reliever. I have to feel good Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Whereas like my spot, like I don't care how I feel today. I don't care if this is the worst pen in the world. Like I'm gonna show up on Friday.
Right. What about like when you're like? So I remember when you'd come in and try and do like training. How was that different? Like when I remember the first time you hit 94, like in the facility. Like how was
Mm.
that different than like when you're working and preparing?
Yeah, I would say that's a little different just because like in the off season you have time to where like I don't need to feel good for another week in the off season. So I would just throw pins like I'm playing a game. Like sometimes you have pins where you're trying to reach back and touch a number. Like I think those are good. And then I think there's pins where like the thing is like if I'm trying to do like a command pin, I guess in a sense, like I'm not trying to command that pitch in a game at 80%. So why would I my thought is like I'm not gonna try to command it in a bullpen at 80%. It's kind of what I think on that.
Yeah. No, that's good. I We kind of talk about that, but I wanted them to hear it from someone else
Mm-hmm.
too. So um
Glad I got it right then.
yeah, you nailed it. Any like this is kind of tricky, but I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are. Like any tricks or tips to get more movement on your fastball? And let's actually talk about like your fastball and like what we talked about before we let guys in, but kind of what your plan is, for this off season and kind of how you're trying to do that. And then if you needed to make more like any fastball adjustments you ever made.
Yeah, I actually have switched my fastball this off season. I don't think I have a ball here, but I could have showed you. Oh, I do have one over there. Let me grab it. I've actually heard a lot since being with the Braves about kind of how fastballs work. And honestly, the biggest thing for me is like I just watch Twitter. Like if people have ideas, like I think Luke Weaver just switched his like this. So I used to grab it like here, and it kind of made me mad because my middle finger is like way longer than my other finger. So I'd always have this finger on the same, and it started pissing me off. So I switched to here. Whereas, so both of these fingers are on the pad or on the seam. Both of the pads of my fingers are on the seam. So I kind of rip it off a little more. But I would say the biggest thing for a fastball, like anytime you can throw it harder, it's gonna be a little better of a pitch. But it's kind of hard to like specify. Like I'm like a low release, like my release height's around 4.8, and I get about 20 inches of vertical break. So like for me, I think just understanding your fastball is a big thing. Like I don't, if I'm in the bottom of the zone, I'm not going to be good. So I just think understanding your fastball, and then if you have the technology, play around with it is the best thing. I've never really done much to my fastball, so I just kind of throw it.
Right. So like what Brett's saying is like he's kind of got a lower slot. He's got a ton of spin. So when you see like guys in the big leagues that are throwing up in the zone, like that's perfect for him. He's not a super tall guy, right? So it's easy for him to stay um, above barrels actually.
Hmm.
And actually the kid that asked the question is more very over the top. We get a lot of tilt. And so he's
Yeah,
someone that would want to throw down in the zone,
right.
and maybe even get a little like arm side run on it where you want to stay relatively flat.
Yeah,
And so
yeah, flat fastball.
right. And it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing in your case. It would
Hmm.
be a bad thing for
Yeah,
him. So
yeah,
it really just depends.
yeah,
Um, I had one other question that just came in. Well, anything that you want to add on that? I guess kind of add on like what your plan
yeah,
is for this offseason, because obviously you're still trying to get better.
yeah. I'll actually add on the fastball thing again. The best way
Yeah.
probably to make your fastball better is throw more than one pitch in the zone. Like if I'm sitting there throwing a slider and change up in the zone, my fastball is 10 times better when I throw it, whether it's at 88 or 95. Like it's going to be a better pitch. So I think that's the biggest thing too with fastballs. Like guys hit fastballs like they try to hit fastballs. So if you can make them a little guessy in the box, it makes your fastball better. And then
Yeah.
for
Do
my
you
off
remember?
season,
No, go ahead. Well, I was
for
just
my
going to
off,
ask you if you remember,
yeah,
if you
you're
remember
good.
what
Good.
your usage, if you remember what your usage rates were on your fastball, your junior year at Nebraska, like when
Yeah,
2-0, 2-1, I think that played
yeah,
a big
it was
role
like
too.
70, 80%. Yeah. And then this year,
So,
I think I was almost under 50% with fastball.
yeah. And
So,
so Brett like kind of got hammered or hit around a lot your junior year. And it was, I think he threw like at one point in the season, he was 0% off speed pitches on 2-0, 2-1, and
mm,
maybe 1-0 counts. I can't remember the third one for
probably
sure,
was.
but it was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But anyway, go
But
ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
yeah, no, my off season plan is just kind of right now. I just kind of work out and just throw. The biggest thing is like in my head, the biggest like ability is being available. Like if I can pitch, like it elongates my career probably if I can pitch, like even if I'm not pitching as good as some other dude who's banged up every other week. So I think just working on body maintenance, staying healthy, and then obviously getting stronger and trying to move fast.
How much, so how hard do you throw right now?
Uh, like average or like,
Yeah, like what was your average velo like last year? Like, I guess how hard do you throw, and then how hard do you want to try and be? How hard do you want to be throwing when spring training rolls around?
yeah, I think my average fastball velo was 91.9 or something like that in that range. I would like it to bump up to probably like average around 93, which I do think I'll have a little easier time with that in pro ball because leashes are shorter in pro ball. They're kind of not that they, it's just they have such heavy back end guys. Like I think like they don't expect as much out of starters as maybe a college place does. So I probably won't sit there and throw my fastball at 90% anymore. Um, and I'd like to get up to probably where I'm touching like a seven. So that's kind of my goal.
And what's your plan for getting up, like adding a couple ticks?
Yeah, just honestly, a lot of it's body maintenance, like mobility stuff, uh, and then just training fast. I think that's kind of a thing I got away from a little bit at Nebraska. Um, I don't think I trained probably fast enough, so I think I'm kind of trying to get back into that where I train moving fast, not just moving a lot of weight, but moving doing the lifts that no one likes to do, kind of type probably what's going to help me. The
Yeah,
mobility. I mean, everyone likes getting under a squat bar and squatting a bunch of weight, but the boring lifts, I guess, are the ones that'll probably help me the most.
right. Um, One other question we had that kind of came in just to shift back to what we talked about earlier, but just advice to advice on like if they're a kid who's not getting a ton of like recruiting, you know, they're just not getting like the recruiting side maybe isn't taking off where they really
Hmm.
want it like they want it to be. Like any advice for someone like in that position?
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid of the junior college baseball scene. Like I think it's growing. And two, like it's good baseball. I played in it, and I mean it's good baseball. And then just kind of keep show like just keep showing up. Like if you have good numbers and you do stuff well, like people are gonna find you. And then I mean, like like you said, like you just kind of gotta expand the horizon. Like if you can get to the next level, whether it be junior college for some people, whether it be Division 1, Division 2 for others, like if you can get to that level, you never know what's gonna happen. I mean, pretty much everywhere is a JUCO, so even if it's a smaller school, like you like nowadays, I guess it's kind of a bad way to think about it, but you're not really tied to anything. So
Right. Yeah, it's easy to like move up. I mean, you just
yeah,
get your foot in the door. It's literally all you have to do
hmm
is get your foot in the door
yeah,
somewhere and then just work to be the
exactly.
best guy on that team.
Yep, exactly. Someone will want you after that if you really want to move up. So
Right. Um, any questions from the crowd? You can throw it in the chat. There are no bad questions. Actually, I have a question for you. One guy that you just cannot get out. Like in my career, I could not get Ryan Bolt out. He's like a leadoff hitter for the Huskers in like 2015. Could not, never could
yeah,
get him out. Who's that guy
I'm
for you?
trying to think. I've really the thing is like I didn't really face a ton of guys over and over.
Yeah. I mean, Brett got everyone out. So,
Who got had because in the tournament I placed Purdue. Trying to think. I don't know. I remember looking back at his stats. I remember there was a guy from New Mexico State that got 2 hits in the game. Uh, Max Anderson was impossible. I got him out a couple times, but I mean, the hardest at bat in terms of like a guy I've faced, like I've the hardest at bat of all time. I think was just I just didn't know where to go to get him out. Caglione was really
nice.
good, but he gets himself out. You hope, kind of. I think.
Yeah. Hope he hits a line shot to somebody
Yeah,
right to the fielder.
115 mile an hour ground ball that'll work for me. But
I did have another question come in. What was your most effective pitch in college and why?
um, honestly, don't know. I would say it kind of switched. Like in junior college is definitely my fastball. Like I threw fastballs up a lot and got a lot of strikeouts, which that's how I got a lot of my strikeouts at Nebraska too. But I think it kind of turned into a slider. Like I didn't have a slider really coming into JUCO, and then when I wasn't pitching much, I was like, I got to develop something that I can just throw in the zone every pitch if I want. And I kind of started throwing a slider that metrically probably wasn't amazing. I think my slider was probably ended up being the most effective, I would say. And that changeup, I think if you have a good changeup, it's the best pitch in baseball. I threw it a lot, so I think that one was probably a good one.
Another one just came in. What was the draft process like for you?
Yeah, it was kind of weird with my age, I would say. Um, I knew kind of going in the draft, like I wasn't going to get $1 million, like just with my age. Like if I was 21, I probably would have. But the fact, like where my age was, like it was kind of like who's going to take me the earliest and give me the best chance to move up through the ranks. So it wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't.
Like you cut out. Can you hear me? You guys catch that or no? I have no
But
idea. You might have to say that all over again. I don't know. I don't know. Did
oh,
he cut out for you guys too? Yep. Everyone's nodding their head.
oh, yeah. So where did we cut out at? I said the
You
draft part
said,
was kind of weird for me.
yeah. And then, like you just said, you weren't going to get $1 million. And then that was basically the end of it.
Yeah, just with my age, like if I was 20 or 21, like I probably would have been talking numbers like that, but I just wasn't. So it was just kind of at that point, it became of who's going to give me the best opportunity to move up through the organization. And I pretty much heard something like you talk to teams throughout the week, throughout the year, and then it's kind of just on your agent. Like my agent called me and said, "Hey, they want this," and then you say yes or no, pretty much, and it's about how it goes.
I think what people probably don't realize is how much say, I mean, you have some idea of when you might go, but you also kind of have some say on your end too, if you're going to accept or not, like
Yeah,
how much kind of goes before you get your name called.
right. Yeah, like a big thing for me was like if I got to day three of the draft, like I in theory probably get more money, but it's kind of like where the organization values you to a situation. So I they don't have to save money, but there's always that option if you really want to.
Yeah. We appreciate you, Brett. We thanks for coming on and just sharing your insight and sharing your knowledge. So I
Yeah, no
saw a
problem.
lot of guys saw a lot of guys taking notes, which is good. Any last like words of wisdom? Anything that you wish like if you were sitting in there and you were them? It's kind of weird if you think from your perspective, but if
Yeah.
you were them, and what's something that you think you wish you would have known, or wish you would have heard, or wish you would have learned earlier, maybe?
All right, yeah. Keep showing up. Like sometimes the
Yeah.
process takes, you can do the whole thing before you even see any progress. So just kind of keep showing up and just trust in what you're doing and believe in it.
Oh, okay. So
And
for those of us that didn't catch it, he
it'll
says keep showing up, keep working hard.
happen.
I got would we do have one more question for you that came in. What was it like coming in to close the Big Ten championship? Like, did you know
Did
you
you
were
get
going to come in and
that time?
close? Ooh, could you hear me?
Yeah, I pretty much
Oh,
begged them all week. I wanted to start actually. Hold on, let me do some. Can you hear me better now?
I can hear you better now. Yep.
The iPhone 7's not doing well. But no, I didn't. I was pretty much begging them. I kind of wanted to start that game. Like I was trying because we didn't really know who we were going to start, and I told him like I'll start. Um, and Coach O said the only way you come in is if we're up one in the ninth. So yeah, I kind
There you
of
go.
I wasn't really going to
Yeah.
take no for an answer, honestly.
Or you're
So
basically just going to put yourself in the game, probably.
yeah, pretty much. I just went right to the pen when everyone went. So
Yeah. And how'd the arm feel?
I don't
Did it even
know.
matter? Did it
Yeah, it
matter?
didn't matter. How'd the arm feel in the second half of the year? I don't know. Felt okay,
Yeah.
but
And that's the
yeah,
thing. And that's one thing that you said it several times. Like the whole second half of the year, how'd your arm feel?
yeah.
And how
Yeah,
did
I
you
mean
play?
yeah, that's the thing. Like, and there's really no secret. Like, I thought I'd get to pro ball and like felt like those guys would have a secret, and then pretty much all of them just take some ibuprofen and put a little red hot on the arm. But yeah, no, it felt good enough. I made myself feel good on Friday, and it didn't matter how it felt the rest of the days.
Yeah, that's awesome. So,
Yeah,
all right. Well, I don't want to take any more of your Sunday night away from you. I know you're a super busy guy. You got a lot going
yeah,
on.
so busy.
So, the life of a minor leaguer
Yep,
is, are you don't have a job? Do you have another job right now, or are you just
I do. I do
chilling?
like lessons for like younger kids here, but about it.
Okay.
Hmm.
Just grind it out. So
Yep.
it's all it's very glamorous, isn't it?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. So,
But
well, we appreciate it, and yeah, like I said, thanks for taking the time, and we with that we will let you go, and I'm gonna stay on and talk to these guys about a few things quick, and
perfect.
yeah, appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate it. We'll see you.
Yep. See ya.